Previously on Professor Layton, a puzzling retrospective. After making what's seen as the darkest game of the series, Level 5 went straight to work on what would be the final game for the original trilogy. Get ready to grab tissues you bought at your local Costco and rewind back in time as we look at Professor Layton and the Unwound or Lost Future.
This game right here is actually the one that got me exposed to Professor Layton. Yeah, this one. Out of all the games, the one that ends the trilogy. And as a lot of you guys expect, this one I've always considered to be my favorite Professor Layton game. Now the question is, does that still hold true today? Well, I guess it's best to find out then. But first, let's talk about the game's title card. For the US version, it's called Unwound Future, while in the UK, it's simply just called Lost Future, which I think is just a better name. If you play the game, you'll obviously know, since it goes into spoilers, and it feels more natural to me. As for the cover art, here's the US version, which I think looks alright, I guess. I mean, it's pretty much repeats the same stuff from Diabolical Box, but hey, it still looks good. And then of course there is the UK version, which I do prefer this one as well, because, you know, it has the clock on there just sitting, as this game does involve time travel, of course. But the American version I still think does look pretty good.
One more thing I do want to talk about is the commercial that aired in the US for Unwound Future. So obviously, if you did not know, the person who played Layton in the commercial was actually Jim Parsons. You know, the guy who voices Sheldon Cooper on Big Bang Theory, which that is honestly crazy to think, especially at the time, because, you know, Big Bang Theory was still, I guess, kind of new. It was on the air for at least a couple years at that point, so it's just weird to think that he was chosen to play Professor Layton. I will admit, though, I was not really super huge on Big Bang Theory growing up. I mean, I occasionally watched episodes with my parents, but that's about it. The only thing that really got me super interested more with the Sheldon Cooper character was the spin-off show called Young Sheldon, which currently, as of right now, I'm actually binge watching on Netflix, and right now, I think it's pretty good. So, yeah.
I wish there was more I could talk about. Again, the only thing I really talked about was commercial, but to be fair, the game is pretty long. Like, so far, this is the longest Layton game we've ever had in the series, with, I believe, 15 chapters in total, and that counts both the prologue and the epilogue. That is a lot going for it. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Oh, hey, look at that. Professor Layton is smiling again. How nice. Just wait until the events that are about to unfold. This is Professor Layton and the Unwound/Lost Future. Okay, so this time the game has a bus on the title screen. Not gonna lie, this just reminds me of Harry Potter, which makes sense. Alright, let's start the game, and oh my god! Now we can use a keyboard! Thank god, no more drawing letters! So the game starts with Layton and Luke on a bus, where we get a letter that is from Luke.
I'm writing to you
in the
from 10
future.
Years in the future.
Huh? Well, before we find out about more, we get a flashback from about a week ago where this guy named Dr. Stun Gun, I don't know if I said that right, reveals a brand new invention. A time machine! Where the Prime Minister, Bill Hawks, will be testing it out. Also, I will admit, the first puzzle of the game did actually kind of stump me a little bit, but that might be because I'm just a bit of a dum-dum.
but don't worry, you should be fine. I mean, it's not that difficult, but I'm just silly, I guess. And after that, the time machine just straight up explodes with Bill Hotz inside, and Dr. Stungun is just gone. Back in the present, our heroes make their way to a clock shop, which is said in Future Luke's letter. They arrive and meet the owners of the shop. Spring, I almost said Sprig, whoops. Spring and Cog. I'm sorry, I just love that name. If you know, you know with the whole theme of the game, so yeah. After solving some puzzles, mainly themed after clocks and time, since you know, the game is about time travel. UK Botsart has a clock on it as well. Cog turns on the time machine, and it turns out that the Professor and Luke were actually sent to the future? That can't be right though, really? Well, I guess that is one way to start Chapter 1. This chapter is mainly just about exploring future London, although one thing I will bring up since this is important, most of the townspeople are actually afraid or scared of Professor Layton. It's mainly because of his hat. But why? Even after playing all the previous games, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. He's a gentleman, after all. Well, for now, we'll come back to this plot point later, as our heroes got another letter from future Luke, somehow, where he asked Layton and Luke to visit a hotel. Only thing I'll say is that Becky seems like a cool person, although her grandma might be a little weird, I don't know. Next, Layton and Luke head to a hospital to meet up with Dr. Schrader. You know, the guy that died from gas that was in an evil box from a previous game? Yeah, that guy. He also gives Layton the keys to his car, which has clearly seen better days. I'll also add that the puzzle for fits in the car is pretty cool, actually. I actually really like this one. It doesn't start, but Layton does find another letter, where future Luke now wants him to meet at the casino. He's asking him to go to so many places so quick. What the heck? They just head out, and now it's on to Chapter 2. Alrighty then. Now, before heading to the casino, we get something interesting. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this. We see Layton in shock as we get a flashback to his past.
I really like it.
I don't just like it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Picking out the right gift can be quite the puzzle.
Lucky for me, every puzzle has an answer. Isn't that what you always say?
Yes, well. I've been thinking.
Go on.
If I were to get the teaching job, then we... Well...
I'm listening, Herschel.
Oh, I'll tell you later.
Come on now. Tell me more about these plans of yours.
No, it was nothing. Now let's eat before our food gets cold.
This is very interesting, as throughout the entire series, like the previous two games, of course, we never really got a backstory for the professor himself. It's been other characters. Well, to be fair, Curious Village didn't really have any backstory, and the only characters that really got some kind of story in general in Diabolical Box was Anton and Katya, but that's about it. But Professor Layton with a character arc? I did not expect that. I really won't say too much about this cutscene since it gets more, well, it's elaborated more later in the game. But it is likely implied that the person in the cutscene, the girl, is Layton's love interest. Anyways, after trekking onward, it says on, but I am saying onward because I can, damn it. We arrive to the casino and finally meet future Luke.
So you're...
He's the future me?
It's good to finally meet you, Professor. Or rather, I suppose I should say it's nice to see you again. It's me, Luke Triton.
Wait a minute. Do I know that voice? Who cares? After doing a pretty fun card game, kind of like a little rivalry or battle thing, it has an actual name, but I can't remember it on top of my head. I didn't write in the script.
Ugh, good lord. It's just a card minigame to prove that you're Professor Layton. Future Luke explains to us, the player, that in the future, the professor is in charge of the town and is not a good person anymore. It brings up my point from earlier where the townspeople were actually afraid of Professor Layton. He also created a group called The Family who can be seen around the town. They're the characters with the fedoras and sunglasses, those people, and says that months after the time machine incident, Layton became more connected with the underworld. I had to really closely read my script, which helped him build the time machine in the clock shop, and which is why Future Luke called the original Layton and Luke to stop Future Layton. I know, it sounds weird. My script writing sounds weird. I'm trying my best, please. Now, I will admit, this part is a very interesting way to set up the story, and many people would probably think someone evil as Don Paulo would cause an issue like this, but no, it's actually the professor. Let's just say that after this part, I was honestly just hooked right away. Now, in order to find the future Layton, we need to visit a place called Chinatown, which we don't actually visit until, I'm not kidding, until chapter 7, by the way. And lastly, it's revealed that there's no record of someone named Dr. Stungun, meaning that Dr. Stungun is, well, not Dr. Stungun, he's someone else entirely. So he's clearly hiding his name. So now, after that, the trio head out to Flatstone Street, but get caught by Bostro, one of the family members, and leads to a freaking gunfight. Holy crap! Although it does lead to one of my favorite puzzles in the game, where you build a gun out of casino machines, or parts of the casino machine. The cutscene is pretty cool as well. Also, this dude with the chair. Mad respect, man, mad respect. Now, let's hurry and begin chapter 3. It starts with our heroes heading out to meet one of Future Luke's acquaintances named Shipley, where he says that Future Layton is located in a base called the Towering Pagoda, which is, again, in Chinatown, but sadly, it's heavily guarded, so yeah. Future Luke decides to split up with Layton and Luke for now, so that way getting in will be easy. But while heading there, Layton spots the same girl from earlier, which gives us another flashback. This time it reveals how Layton got his hat. I gotta say, this is probably my favorite cutscene in the game, other than the ending, of course.
Thank you.
These two together do seem like honestly, a cute couple, and the origin of the hat is just freaking wholesome, man. I also like how this cutscene revealed why Layton doesn't take off the hat. I think that's pretty funny.
So no taking it off.
Side note, Layton also does mention that the girl's name is Claire. I don't know if it's mentioned earlier on in the game because I can't remember, but I do know in fact that at this point in time in the game, pretty sure he mentions that it's Claire. Does not mean to call Layton she. Back to exploring, there's two more things I want to mention. First is that some of the townsfolk wearing lab coats, scientists, are leaving wet footprints behind for some reason. That's just a mystery in the game, so I gotta bring that up. And second, Layton and Luke pass by a location called the Thames Arms, which shows a lighthouse that wasn't in the past. Actually, the Thames Arms is a restaurant, but they do pass by the Thames, technically. And yes, they do in fact see a lighthouse that wasn't in the past. Guess 10 years can go by pretty quick, I mean, I guess 15 years was also the same thing as well, because this game also came out 15 years ago. God, I'm old. And now we're at the entrance to Chinatown, which is, of course, blocked off. Funny enough, the two goons blocking the gate remind me of Chelmy and Barton. I mean, heck, even the professor knows that. It also reminds Layton that he has something to tell Chumley. Luckily, Future Luke says that he can go back to the present by heading back to the clock shop, which starts chapter 4. Not too much to say, other than that Future Luke saying the lighthouse was made 5 years ago, meeting up with the new person, or should I say creature, who gives us missing puzzles named Beasley, and finding a parrot, which does unlock one of the minigames. Don't worry, I'll talk about it during the intermission. And yes, Layton and Luke head back to the present. Future Luke stays in the future, of course. I mean, to be honest, he doesn't really want to prevent, what is it, a time paradox? Is that what it is? I hope so. Now for Chapter 5, Layton and Luke first stop by Gressenheller University, which is the place where Professor Layton works, to visit his office. Quick side note, this chick seems really into Layton. Like, enough to where I need to be careful what I should say on this platform. I don't know, I don't want to, get age restricted, I guess. They visit the office to find Flora, who seems very upset since, well, Layton and Luke went off on another journey without telling her. Dad of the year, am I right? Luckily, Layton promises Flora that she won't be left behind. Cool. And then he proceeds to leave her behind without telling her. To be fair, the stuff going on is, well, dangerous, but again, Father of the Year, am I right? So now Layton and Luke head over to Scotland Yard. Well, he went to go grab a notebook, that's why he was at the university in the first place, I need to mention that, to meet up with Inspector Chelmy, where Layton asks if he can see the files about the time machine incident, which, to probably everyone's surprise, Chelmy doesn't get pissed about it. See, now that's what I call character development right there. He grabs the info he needs and tells Chelmy that Bill Hawks could be alive in the future, which, of course, just confuses Chelmy. So now we need to head back to the future and start Chapter 6. Luckily, they chose to join us, and even Flora joins in. Dad of the Year, am I right? Before Layton objects, the time machine goes off and we're back in the future. So now we got Layton, Luke, Flora, Chelmy, and Barton all stuck in the future. How nice. For now, Chelmy and Barton run off to figure out just what in the heck is going on, of course. And our heroes head over to a restaurant to meet up with Shipley. They also meet up with a character named Dean Damona, who I believe is Layton's boss. Wait. I swear to God, if his name is Dean because he's the dean of the school, I am going to lose my mind. What the frick? Holy crap. We also saw him in the past, which makes Layton remember something? It's not super important right now, but we will be later. For now, our heroes head to the local park and meet up with future Luke, where he reveals a plan on how to enter Chinatown, which, I'm gonna be honest, is both clever and straight up just silly. The plan pretty much is to use the parrot Luke got to make it sound like Bostro's voice, the mafia boss from earlier. Again, I find that just really funny. Now we're on to Chapter 7, which, by the way, is the longest chapter in the game, as if you're trying to 100% the game, it might take at least an hour and a half to finish. Also, this part does have a puzzle barrier, so just make sure you get all the puzzles you need and you should be good. So after fooling the guards, our heroes finally enter Chinatown. However, they can't enter the tower due to future Layton not being here, which is a perfect way to gather info, where, again, we find a scientist who is soaking wet, and now we got a new Granny Riddleton-style character named Puzzlet since she started swatting Beasley.
Don't you think? Hope to see ya soon. Soon.
Also, I will admit that Lonnie's voice acting during this part did actually make me chuckle a bit because of how funny it sounded.
Gotcha!
No! Beasley! Stop doing that! I think he's had enough slapping for one day. Now how are we supposed to solve all those puzzles that we left behind?
Later, after more searching and puzzle solving, we meet with a nice old man named Rudolph, who tells us that future Layton might be near the Thames Arms, a restaurant near, well, the Thames, and starts Chapter 8, which, right now, I feel like this would be the good time to begin with, you guess it, the intermission, where I give some fun facts about the game and talk about the minigames. Speaking of which, let's talk about them.
This is how the intermission is probably going to sound like for the rest of the series, by the way, simply because I don't want it to sound boring. So the first minigame we got is Toy Car, where you place arrows on a grid, then you try to collect all the flags and try to reach the goal at the end. Honestly, pretty solid, and I love that the car is the Layton mobile. Really nice touch. Next is the Parrot minigame, where you deliver packages to people in London, which is... it's fine, but probably my least favorite minigame in the Unwound Future. I don't know, it didn't really stuck out to me, and it just makes me wish I was playing Hamster from Diabolical Box instead. Last we've got probably my favorite one from this game, Picture Book, where you take random nouns like person, place, thing, you should know that by now, in the correct scenario. The reason why I like this one is because I really love the drawings and figuring out where to place them. Also, the music that plays is so relaxing and something I would actually listen to while writing the script. Overall, I really enjoyed the minigames, and I hope the minigames in the next game are good as well. This is a bit of foreshadowing. Next up, let's talk about the voice acting. Again, Chris, Lonnie, and Maria are back, yep. And we have new characters that we could talk about. So of course the only characters I can really find info on that are really technically new people that are not old cast members. Like for example, Lonnie is voicing Claire, as you can tell if you listen to the cutscenes that I mentioned earlier. And Chris also does voice another character that I will talk about later on. But yeah, for the new characters we got Future Luke and Dr. Stungun, who later on is revealed to be another character entirely who I'll talk about later. But I think you already know what his name is, but I need to try my best to, not put spoilers this early in, so yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it.
Also, Chris and Lonnie, you're carrying this game. I love you guys.
Anyway, so the voice actor for Future Luke is Yuri Lowenthal. You know, the Yuri Lowenthal. The guy who voices characters such as the protagonist from Persona 3, Ben 10 from the Alien Force show, Yosuke Hamura from Persona 4, Becky from Mighty No. 9, Marth from the more recent Fire Emblem games, Clavier Gavin from Ace Attorney, Radar from Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, and even freaking Spider-Man from the PlayStation Spider-Man games. Yeah, that guy. Not gonna lie, when I found out that he voices Future Luke, I just lost my mind. As for his voice acting in the game, I honestly think it's just dang near perfect. Especially towards the end of the game, just you wait. Also helps that anytime I just hear this guy in general in whatever project he's doing, it just leaves a big smile on my face. So yeah, Yuri is really doing a good job here. I think he's a really good voice actor. As for the guy who killed the Prime Minister with the clock, he's voiced by Liam O'Brien, who's also done a lot of characters over the years like Yuri. But the only character I mainly recognize him as, besides a random character from regular show for some reason, is Akihiko Sanada from Persona 3 and Officer Kurosawa from Persona 3 Reroad. Can you tell I'm a fan of Persona? Honestly, his performance is alright, although I will admit that there's certain parts in the game where I feel like you could tell he's faking an accent. Not to be mean, that's not my intention. Again, I think he does a pretty good job, but I can kind of tell that Liam is just faking the accent. And last but not least, let's just go ahead and talk about the music, as this game honestly has probably my favorite soundtrack out of the entire series. First example I got is the brand new puzzle theme. Yes, there is a brand new puzzle theme, just go ahead and listen for yourself. Then there's songs like A Quiet Town, The Casino,
the professor's deductions, which is also really good. And of course, I cannot forget this one, the game's main theme. Oh, God, it's just honestly perfect. I don't know. This game has amazing music, and heck, that goes for all 3 of these games. And again, I really hope that Mr. Nishura returns to do the music for New World of Steam, as the work he's done on these games are just freaking incredible, man. Alright, that was about 3 pages use for the script for intermission. Let's go ahead and continue Unwound Future by starting with Chapter 8. And it starts with a talking rabbit who is also probably voiced by Christopher Miller. The rabbit, or Subject 3 as that's his name, gives us a random backstory on how he was tortured. Kinda random, not gonna lie. We also arrive to the Thames Arms, where the bartender says that the guy with a top hat has already left. So that's great, I guess. Now it's back to Chinatown, where we start Chapter 9. It starts with the ward, well, I'm assuming the warden, it says ward in my script, but I'm guessing it's warden, gives us access to the tower, but only the people who solve the puzzles can go through. But before entering, Layton leaves for a bit. Don't worry, he put a note on Flora and returns just like that.
Pagoda is just steps away.
Weird. So while exploring the tower and doing what is probably the hardest puzzles in the entire game, no joke, this took me quite some time to even get through, I am not gonna lie. We finally meet up with future Layton, where it's revealed that this isn't actually a future version of Professor Layton. I'm not really surprised. It's actually Dr. Stongun, or the name I'll be referring to for the rest of the video, Dimitri Allen, where he reveals that he was using Layton to use his old memories to work on a time machine that, of course, failed 10 years ago, and save Claire from the accident. He also kidnapped Bill Hawks, oh, dang, and traps our heroes in a cage. But then we see 2 Professor Laytons? No, not future Layton and the real Layton. No. There is actually 2 Professor Laytons.
What is going on here?
Wait a minute. The one in the cage isn't Layton. It's Don Paulo. The real Layton was hiding the whole time. Unfortunately, while opening the cage, Dimitri is able to escape and sets off an alarm. Luckily, our heroes find an escape, and note to self, everyone splits up. Yeah. Future Luke goes to Flora, and then it's the Professor, Luke, and Don Paulo together. Yeah. Now you might be asking, just like Luke, why is Don Paulo helping us? I mean, he did try to kill Layton and kidnap Flora, for Christ's sake. Well, it turns out that he also wants some answers on what the heck is going on. Plus, Don Paulo also had feelings for Claire. So, should we call this a love square instead of a love triangle, as there are 4 people who are into Claire?
Right.
So, yeah, this actually does reveal why Don Paulo is, well, Layton's enemy.
Well,
It's pretty funny, I will admit. Also, side note, why does his mustache during this cutscene remind me of Waluigi? I guess the shape is why, so yeah. Also, he does wear purple. So let's start Chapter 10. Ooh, boy, we got so many chapters of this game. Don Paulo decides to leave for a bit while Layton and Luke head back to the hotel to meet up with Flora and future Luke, but right now future Luke is not here since something serious came up. Also, Chumley shows up to say that he saw someone who looked like Claire, but Layton says that is impossible and asks Chumley to do a background check on her files. Before leaving the hotel and heading on over to the Thames, Luke runs off to a statue that we actually saw earlier, but I didn't mention, revealing that Luke is going to be moving soon. Specifically to the US, which is actually where New World of Steam is going to take place, as the game is set a year after Unwound Future, which is awesome. We finally get to see, after all these years, what the story would have been after this game, and I'm so hyped for it. I can't show enough how much I am excited for New World of Steam. I promise you, I am just so excited. Just please, level 5, don't include AI in it like you have been doing with your other titles right now, clearly. I just really hope you guys didn't do that, please. Luckily, Layton says that even though Luke's moving, they'll still have a strong connection with each other. Man, this game is really hitting me with emotions. First Layton's backstory, and now Luke moving away. Wonder if it's gonna get any worse from here. After exploring the black market and finding out why the scientist's clothes are wet, our heroes find a tunnel and start Chapter 11. While exploring, however, they do get caught by the family, but are able to escape thanks to Claire? Actually, never mind. It turns out to be her sister, Celeste, which solves the final mysteries. But we still got another 2 hours left of this game, though, so something clearly isn't right. Oh crap, the family! This leads to, again, everyone splitting up. Plus, we get more context behind the lab explosion, which I'm going to talk about because it does technically give context for one of the game's big plot twists. Yes, there's more than one this time. So after the incident, Layton noticed that the incident didn't have some kind of report out, so he started running his own investigation, but led to him getting assaulted and being stuck in a coma for literally an entire month. When he woke up, info on the case was just stolen. After that, Layton stopped pursuing the case, as if he didn't, there would have been some consequences. Luke asks the professor if Dimitri knows, but he says that someone else might know something about the incident. So now, knowing this knowledge, Layton and Luke head back to the Thames Arms and begin Chapter 12. Oh boy, here we go. This chapter will contain some heavy spoilers, so if you want to avoid that, again, here is the timestamp where the video will, end. So yeah, because this stuff is where everything goes crazy. Alright then, 3, 2, 1. Alright, here we go. Grouping up with Chemley and Barton, our heroes now arrive back to the Thames Arms with future Luke and Celeste. So now, everyone is here. Everyone! And it's time to begin the first plot twist of the game. Layton tells everyone that the future London they're currently in is fake. Yep, and is made to look like they are in the future. All the time machine did was take them underground. Yes, you heard me, underground. As in under the real London by using caverns. I'm not kidding. I'm being whole serious about this. This also reveals in the mysteries where we get the whole, whole story thing, where it actually gives the bigger context of what is going on. So yeah, not all the mysteries were done, you silly. We then find out that the bartender is actually Dimitri in disguise, which leads to Dimitri saying that bombs are placed, but that's not true since the paper spells lie. This game, man, this game. So now it's time to confront Dimitri. He states that 10 years ago, he worked on a time machine with Claire and current Prime Minister Bill Hawks, and the experiment went pretty well. Heck, a prototype was ready to be used and tested, with the human subject. However, Dimitri noticed a flaw with the machine and asked Bill to postpone the experiment, which, by the way, wanted to use Claire as the test subject. No thank you. But Bill decided not to, since showing this would get him lots of money. Wow, that just completely changed my perspective on Bill. Frick this guy. So he runs the experiment, which leads to a massive explosion. And the death of Claire. This scene is honestly just so heartbreaking, as it's clear Claire meant a lot to Dimitri. And knowing that Bill got away with all of this, since he becomes the Prime Minister after all, I've been saying he's the current Prime Minister, to prove my point here, really feels like an evil twist. At the start of the game, people don't seem to mind Bill too much and hope to at least find him, but now, at this point, you probably hate his freaking guts for what he just did. I mean, I do. I didn't mind this guy at first either. I mean, he seems like a bit of a douche, but like, now knowing this twist, he seems like an even bigger douche. This is why I love Dimitri's story arc in this game, as you can't really blame him since the guy lost the love of his life. Well, to be fair, Layton was kind of dating Claire as well, but, you know, yeah. And then, of course, Bill just straight up gets away scot-free and becomes the Prime Minister. Like, that is just evil, man. However, that isn't the only twist we get, as there's someone else pulling the strings, which I'll go ahead and let Layton reveal who it is. Go ahead, Layton.
Someone here masterminded a scheme even more awful than yours, Dimitri. And that person is there!
I think you're mistaken, Professor.
Future Luke, or now revealed to be Clive, was actually the true mastermind all this time, and was only using Dimitri as a pawn. We then get the reason why Clive is doing all this. He's doing this because when the time machine exploded, the one 10 years ago, it also killed his parents, leaving him as an orphan. Later, when his adoptive mother passed away, Constance Dove, he got her entire fortune, which helped him make future London, of course. However, while Dimitri was focused on future London, and by the way, the reason why Clive knew about Dimitri, because he did work for like a newspaper company, and then he was able to get in contact with him, Clive also started working on another project, that being a weapon of destruction. Now, before I move on, the cutscene that's currently playing, no joke, is actually my exposure to the Layton series. Yes, I am being serious. Sometime around, I want to say 2011, I think, I saw my grandma playing Unwound Future and saw this specific cutscene playing when I came to visit. All I remember is the part where Flora gets taken away, and then Lonnie Triton tries to stop him, but fails. Such a weird way to find out about the series in retrospect, not gonna lie. Anyways, with Flora taken, Clive takes a boat to the lighthouse, and now reveals the weapon he's been working on. Holy crap, this is a huge weapon. Alright, let's start chapter 13. With Clive's weapon on the loose, and the game now playing one of my favorite songs in the entire series, I've said that like 3 times in this video, Layton and Luke plan to get on the machine. Luckily, thanks to Don Paulo, they get up there using the Layton mobile, since it got all fixed. Yeah, remember back in chapter 1 where the thing was broken? Yeah, he was able to fix it. Great. First step is to head in and find Flora, where the game does give some really difficult puzzles that are honestly really fun. I love these puzzles. They find her trapped and are able to free her. Next they confront Clive, but is able to escape and actually starts to destroy the real London. Ooh, boy. This is the most intense thing I've seen in the series so far, not gonna lie. Celeste then shows up to let us know that there should be a generator somewhere on the mech. They find and see Bill Hotz is the person on the generator, or well, he's powering the generator. And if they try to take him out, the fortress will explode. Luckily, thanks to the pocket watch Celeste got from Claire, is able to take Bill's place for a little bit. So now it's time for this game's epilogue. After solving this puzzle, the energy flow is now causing the fortress to collapse, which leads to Yuri showing off once again his amazing voice acting talent. I love you, Yuri.
It won't end this way!
And one last puzzle where we need to destroy some trash. All this does is cause the Layton mobile to fall off the fortress. Thankfully, with the help of Don Paulo, the car actually changes into a plane. Now that's pretty cool. Also, I will admit, this is probably one of my favorite lines in the game where Luke just straight up says, "How are you able to fly a plane?" Even though the professor's like, "What do you mean? This is a car. It's still a car at the end of the day." That's funny. Thank you, Don. Love you. While trying to leave, Celeste sees that Clive is still in the fortress, knocked out, and with the approval of the professor, she goes in to save him. Layton then drops everyone off and is able to head back to save Celeste and Clive, right before the fortress finally explodes. The professor then arrives back down to London, and we see Clive get arrested for his crimes. But before being taken away, Layton asks if he can speak with him for a quick minute. Clive thanks the professor for saving his life again, as it's revealed he's the kid that was with Layton when the explosion happened and killed his parents. He atones for his crimes and is taken away. However, we're not done yet, as there's one more thing that happens. We see Claire breaking down to tears, saying that she's running out of time. It's then revealed after Celeste acknowledges Layton's hat when Chemley shows up and says that there are no records of Claire having a younger sister, meaning that the girl standing in front of us right now is Claire herself. Like, this is not bullcrap. Standing right in front of us is the real Claire. Like, this is the actual Claire from 10 years ago. I'm not kidding. But the question is, how exactly? Well, it turns out that the time machine did actually work, but her body wasn't super stable in the present and would still take her back to the explosion. Well, the time where the explosion happened. Dimitri kept on trying to bring her back, but it did not work, and eventually led to Claire telling him just to stop. So now he says that he is officially going to close the book on the time machine. And this leads to, honestly, one of the hardest cutscenes to watch, and this is the final one of the game, so I'm just going to go ahead and let the game play the cutscene for itself.
I suppose this is it, Herschel. I have to go back to my own time, back to that day when we parted.
No, Claire.
I'm sorry, I can't stay.
Claire, wait!
We had so many plans for the future. You won't forget, will you? Our shared past and our lost future.
You can't go! I don't want to say goodbye again. I can't. I won't.
I know you. And I know you'll stay strong. After all, that's what a gentleman does. I must go now, Herschel. Thank you for everything. Goodbye.
She's gone!
And that's where the game ends, where for the first time in the series, we see the professor, who is usually calm and able to control his emotions, lose himself after losing Claire again. And even doing the one thing that a gentleman would never do, take off his hat in her memory. I can't describe how emotional this cutscene made me feel, as all I want to do is just run over and give Layton a hug while also crying at the same time. And on top of that, the music, you got a recipe for emotional damage right there. Before completing the game though, we get one more cutscene where we see Luke about to leave for the US, but starts to cry and says so long to the professor. God, this game is hurting my soul so much, man. I think I'm gonna need a minute. Hold up. We then get a letter that contains one more puzzle in this game, and after solving it, we see a cutscene where Layton is looking out the window, smiling, as the game officially concludes. And that right there was Professor Layton and the Unwound/Lost Future. To me, this is probably the most perfect Professor Layton game I've seen so far. With the only issue really being that some of the pacing is a little bit messed up at the beginning of the game, but that's about it. But still, this game is really, really awesome to this day, and I can't recommend it enough. And that's it! We've officially completed the original trilogy of Professor Layton games. Whew, man, what a ride. And wow, these games are great. I don't usually say that to most games, as to me, usually after I finish a game, I just play it, and then usually I don't really remember it too much, as everything that happens doesn't stick out to me completely at the end. But now having played these games, I feel the complete opposite, as I can completely remember everything that has happened in these games. Good, the bad, the what the heck, the sad, and the happy moments. If you're a person who's just trying to go out and do like a retro video game collection, then I highly recommend you try and get these games on the DS. Or if you're a new fan trying to get into the series, then I highly also do recommend the mobile versions, as that is the easiest way to play the original trilogy nowadays. So yeah, without a doubt, I highly recommend all of you go out and try this original trilogy. It is one of the best pieces of video game media I have ever played. And one thing for sure, when it comes to this trilogy, I consider it to be the best, one of the best trilogies of all time. So now you might be asking, where does the series go from here? Well, to answer that question, we'll be going back before the original trilogy even began, back in the past. So, next time on Professor Layton, a Puzzling Retrospective, I will be looking at the first game of the prequel trilogy, and that is Professor Layton and the Last Spectre / Spectre's Call.